When Raul Castro took power in February, one of the first things he did was sign a United Nations Treaty on Human Rights. President Bush says that's meant nothing for the country's political prisoners.
Political dissidents continue to be harassed, detained, and beaten, and more than 200 prisoners of conscience still languish in Castro's tropical gulag.
Raul Castro took power when his brother Fidel became too ill to rule. Cuba's first new president in 49 years announced a series of reforms, including allowing Cubans to purchase computers, DVD players, and cell phones. President Bush says that's not enough.
If the Cuban regime is serious about improving life for the Cuban people, it will take steps necessary to make these changes meaningful. Now, if the Cuban people can be trusted with mobile phones, they should be trusted to speak freely in public.
As Cubans buy DVD players, President Bush says they should be allowed to watch movies and documentaries produced by Cuban artists who are free to express themselves. He says greater access to computers should come with open access to the internet. But most of those products are still too expensive for many Cubans. So President Bush is changing some of the rules governing gift parcels to the island to allow Americans to send cell phones to family in Cuba. U.S. officials say it's up to Raul Castro to decide whether those U.S.-purchased phones will be allowed on the Cuban network. President Bush says the world is watching Cuba's public gestures on access to information and respect for political freedom.
But experience tells us this regime has no intention of taking these steps. Instead, its recent gestures appear to be nothing more than a cruel joke perpetuated on a long-suffering people.
The first day of solidarity with the Cuban people comes in a week when Cubans celebrate their Independence Day and mark the death of José Martí, a leader of Cuban independence from Spain. Scott Stearns, VOA News at the White House.